Hi everybody and welcome to another video. I want to start off with a little story. This is a real story that happened to me. One time I was talking to somebody and I was telling that person that, oh, it's time for me to start learning a new language and I'm thinking about choosing between this language and this language. It just so happens that one of those languages has many native speakers. Millions upon millions, tens of millions, maybe even hundreds of millions. I don't remember right now. And the other language had fewer speakers, and just a few million people or something like that. And the other person immediately said that, oh, it's obvious. You should learn that language, which has hundreds of millions of speakers because, more people speak it. And that got me thinking, and this video is not going to analyze the story, but it just got me thinking about this idea about choosing a language based on the number of speakers. How much of an impact do you think that should have in our decision-making process when we are selecting a language? My personal way of thinking, and I would be really interested in hearing your opinions about that, is that it doesn't really matter whether that language has maybe there are only 1 million speakers or even less, or maybe 500 million speakers. As far as I'm concerned, and for my purposes, that does not matter. And let me explain what that means. And now, obviously, it sounds logical. It's intuitive that a language that has, 300 million speakers is more, quote unquote, important than a language that has only 500,000 speakers. But that brings up another question. What is the meaning of important? And is your definition of important the same as mine? As far as I'm concerned, the decision to learn a language should be based on other factors, not just the number of native speakers. I think that there are some things that come before that, and once you fulfill those criteria, then I guess the idea of the number of speakers comes into play, but it should not be the primary one. Let me explain what I mean by that. First of all, we should have an interest in that language and that culture that speaks that language, because if we have an interest in it, we will feel an extra motivation, that desire to interact with the people from that culture or something. Let's imagine there is a language, and there are many speakers of that language, but you have no interest, no desire whatsoever to communicate in that language. It doesn't matter to you whether there are 50 million speakers or 100 million or 150 or 500 million. It wouldn't matter to you. On the other hand, if a language has only, let's just take a random number, 5 million speakers, but you actually have a very serious desire of, maybe visiting that country or interacting with the native speakers of that language, it would be worth your while to learn that language. Because when you think about it, how many people are you actually going to talk to in real life, practically? And once again, let me make one thing absolutely clear. I keep going back to the same theme. The focus of this channel when we talk about language learning is learning languages for fun, okay? For people who study languages seriously, there will be some different considerations. Then the idea of the number of native speakers won't even come into play, right? You would just learn that language. Imagine a person gets a job in a certain country. It doesn't matter how many speakers there are or there are not. You would have to deal with the native speakers of that language, and you're going to learn that language. But as far as learning a language as a hobby is concerned, the idea of the number of native speakers of that language is not that important. What comes first is your passion, your interest, and how motivated you are in terms of interacting with the native speakers of that language. So let's go back to that question. How many people are you going to interact with? Let's just imagine you studied that language for 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, whatever, 6 months. You get to a point where you feel confident enough to have basic conversations with native speakers of that language. Now, realistically, how many people are you going to interact with? I mean, if you are living in that country, or even online, if you look for friends. And I do have another video in which I talk about how to find language partners and how to find friends online with whom you can practice. That's a different topic. At the end of the day, maybe, I don't know, maybe 5 people, 10 people. Because if you have a conversation, realistically, if you have a 30-minute conversation in which you speak your target language for 15 minutes and that person speaks English for 15 minutes, that's quite taxing on the brain. It takes a lot of energy. In the beginning, even a 5-minute conversation is a major milestone, in my opinion. And once you get more advanced, I don't know, you have an hour-long call in which you speak your target language for 30 minutes and they speak English for 30 minutes, or depending on, how proficient that other person is. Maybe the entire conversation is going to be in English sometimes, and sometimes the hour-long conversation is going to be in your target language. But how many times are you going to be able to do that with different people? I don't know, in a week, let's just say, even if you have a call every day, 7 days a week, so 7 people you'll be talking to regularly, maybe less, maybe more. It all depends on, different people have different ideas of their circle of friends. Some people want to have just a few friends, maybe 1, 2, 3, and they want to have like a deeper friendship with those people. Some people just want to have casual conversations with many different people. It applies even in normal life, doesn't it? Not just for language learning. So yeah, the amount of people that you will be talking to in practical terms is going to be really limited. So don't let this idea of, this language has 3 million speakers and this language has 300 million speakers, so automatically I'll select that one. No, it doesn't work that way. Take everything into consideration, okay? Your passion, your hobby, your desire, and everything. And then after that, you can decide which language to select and how much you will let that other factor of the number of native speakers to affect your decision. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you found my discussion useful. Please let me know in the comments what you think about this idea. Has this ever had an impact on your decision-making process? Let me know. I'll be reading your comments. And once again, if you liked the video, please consider giving it a like. If you didn't like it, let's just keep that our little secret. Don't tell anybody. And I'll see you in the next one.